If building and exiting a business, immigration, and just trying to live a good life as a decent human have taught me anything, it's that I thought this would be simpler. Life is astoundingly, beautifully complex, and I want to talk about it. Welcome to I Thought This Would Be Simpler. How many times have you completely reinvented your life? Ken Hellem, today's guest, has decided to live 10 lifetimes in one. He has already reinvented his life 5 times. He's been a consultant, a startup founder, a Googler, a remote HR guy, and now a coach. A year ago, he quit everything and traveled around Europe in a camper with his journal and guitar, and now he helps others reinvent their lives. He's also currently writing a book, The Art of Reinvention. Ken is a truly fascinating conversationalist. His story, his perspective on the world. I loved talking to him and diving into what does it feel like when we outgrow the current life we're living? What can we do about it? And learning about some of his incredible tools for unlocking doors that you never even knew existed. Having conversations one layer beyond your comfort zone, and all of the magic that happens when we take those bold steps. Enjoy. Ken Hellem, what did you think would be simpler?
Life. What a big question. I know it's the name of your show. But wow, I am positive by nature. I always tend to think things are going to be simple, straightforward. You go from A to B in a straight line, right? And why would that be difficult? What could possibly go wrong? And then life happens. But to take a concrete example, I would say 3 months ago, 4 months ago now, I started a coaching practice. And how hard can that be? It's just talking to people, right? Something I do naturally anyway. And maybe the coaching is that way. Like I really do enjoy those sessions and I find that to come natural to me. But then there's everything else around building a coaching business. Finding clients, building a website, posting on LinkedIn, funnels, admin, taxes. It wasn't as straight of a line as maybe I had hoped for 4 months ago.
Yeah, I know for me, growing up, I really thought that once I was an adult, things would be simpler. Like I thought I would reach this imagined point of having it all figured out. And in my mid-30s, I'm still like, nope, not there yet.
I am very much looking forward to that point where I grow up and have everything figured out. That'll be great. Yeah.
Yeah. But you have grown up and outgrown things multiple times. In fact, you have decided to live 10 lifetimes in one.
Correct. I say that jokingly because it might not have to be 10, right? If I live 8 lifetimes or 12 lifetimes, those are both fine for me. But it is a arbitrary high number to keep me looking forward. One of my core values is adventure. And I really want to fill my life with experiences, small and big. Anything from that picnic on the beach with a good friend and a good conversation to tearing up my roots and moving to another country, which I already have done. This is the 8th country I live in now. And with that, I say that I reinvent my life. And I've reinvented my life maybe 5 times now, so I'm halfway to 10. How's that?
And as you say, 10 is a necessarily high number to keep you looking forward. And I think that's incredible. It's also incredibly bold to uproot your life and leave all things safe, comfortable, and familiar behind and go on a new adventure. It's an incredibly bold way to walk through the world. Can you talk me through the genesis of this? Where did this journey of you, where did
Mhm.
the first reinvention
Okay,
start?
wow. Because there's been so many, right? And the boldness, I've never really seen it as boldness. For me, it's more of that curiosity of
Mm,
what's out there. What else can I experience? And I'm not going to tell everybody to rip up their life 8 times or 10 times, but maybe try to do something a little bolder than your normal, right? So my first one, we're going to have to go far back. When I was 7 years old, my dream was to be an international businessman. And I had no idea what that meant when I was 7, right? Other people wanted to be football players. I had a friend who wanted to be an airport, not work at an airport. He wanted to be an airport, but I wanted to be, but I wanted to be an international businessman. So in my head, 7-year-old head, that meant wearing a suit and
mm-hmm.
working in Asia, which at the time I thought was a country. And don't judge me. Don't judge me. I was 7. I know better now. So I got this goal in my head and I went for it, right? I did well in school because businessmen have to be smart, right? And eventually they did send me to Asia. I did a trainee program, my first professional job. I got to work in Stockholm and in Riga in Latvia. And then I had a rotation 6 months in Tokyo. And I remember clearly that day when I got my business card. So I was wearing a suit and a tie, right? It's Japan. And I got this business card with my name on in English on the front side. And on the back side, everything was in Japanese, even my name, my title. And to me, this was so exciting. So I took all my friends out and like, we're going to celebrate. I got a business card. And they're like, okay, like, why? But we'll take your free booze. So we went out. They didn't understand it. But for me, this was me realizing my childhood dream. And we had a lot of fun. We got drunk, as you do. And I woke up the morning after with a hangover, as you do. But it didn't go away. Second day, third day, like I didn't feel like I could get out of bed. I didn't have a reason to get out of bed. I had achieved all of my goals.
Hmm.
And I'm like, what's next? And that was tough. So I solved it partially. I came up with a hack, a cheat. I realized, okay, I'm goal driven, so I need to have a goal. And I've realized my goal. So I set myself a new, bigger goal. I'm going to be CEO, Fortune 500. There's 500 of those jobs out there, and I'm going to get one. Should be achievable, right? So I create my plan, my straight line from A to B, and I start chasing it. I get the promotions. I'm doing well. I'm even going to say I'm happy and I'm having fun, but something felt off. Like during this journey, I wasn't fulfilled. It was a fake goal, and I knew it was a fake goal. There was nothing in me that actually wanted this. It was just to keep me moving. And over time, I started feeling it then. It became less and less fun. The promotions got less and less exciting. The additional money didn't matter. And I do what I always do. Like I quit. I gave up my apartment, sold my sailboat, and bought a one-way ticket to New York. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be this management consultant. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to make it in the city that never sleeps. And that was my first reinvention.
And there's something so critical in that about goals, achieving goals. And we often think that when I achieve my goal, then I'll celebrate, then I'll be happy, and that's when the magic happens.
Mm.
But actually, the magic is what happens in the pursuit of that goal, in the work towards that goal.
If you dare to notice, way too often we kind of outsource our happiness or we delay our happiness to that
Yeah.
future point. When I get that promotion, when I have the money, when I get a nicer car, right? Then I'll be happy. And I'm sorry to disappoint you. You're not. Like, you get there, nothing's going to change. It's not you're going to wake up one morning and happy.
Yep.
Happiness are all of those moments on the way. When you have the patience, the clarity to stop and just kind of enjoy it. Look out the window. I see palm trees. Like it's sunny. Like I can walk down to the beach and go for a swim. I have good friends. Like that's happiness.
That's a thing that's so easy to get lost or that's so easily lost in this pursuit of goals, especially for people who are ambitious and goal driven, is we, exactly as you say, we delay our happiness, but then we achieve the goal and it feels empty and we're stuck wondering why. Like,
Hmm.
what's
And I'm
happening?
and I'm incredibly goal driven. That's how I got out of my first funk in Japan, right? I enjoy having that goal. It gives me energy and momentum forward. But I don't want to confuse that with happiness.
Yeah. And how do you now make sure that as you're in pursuit of another big goal, that you're stopping to look out the window along the way?
I wish I was better at it. Like your reminder right now is good. Now I'm looking out the window at the palm trees, right? For me, I think it comes in seasons. I have periods where I am more fulfilled, more content. And then I have periods where I'm not. And when I'm not feeling it, I think it's important to stop and look inwards and try to figure out why. What's missing in my life now? Because life is not static. I'm not static. The world's not static. Things keep changing. I like to use a simple exercise, the wheel of life, where I just look at my life in 8 categories. My health, my finances, my career, my relationships, my artistic side or creativity, my spiritual side, right? And I rate them all from 0 to 8. And I see where am I? And they're never all 8s, right?
Yeah.
No, 0 to 10. Yeah, math's not my strong side today. 8 categories, 0 to 10. Here we go.
Yeah.
Rate them from 0 to 10, and they're never all 10s. But then maybe I notice one's at a 3. Okay, and that allows me to focus and go in and see, what can I do about this thing that feels off right now? And the goal isn't to get to perfect, but it's to notice what are the things that aren't where I want them to be, and what can I do about that? And work on that. And I find that when most of them are in balance, like they might all be 6s or 7s, but when there's not one that's standing out, I tend to feel more content.
Hmm.
And I think content is probably a better, we all like to say happy and happiness, but I think contentment is a better target than happy, because I feel happiness is very fleeting. It can come in a moment and go away in a moment. And if we chase that and we believe that's going to be the only truth forever, I don't think it is. But we can be content.
I love that framing so much because I so resonate with it. Um, Chasing happiness it's a zero-sum game,
Hmm.
actually. But seeking contentment that's a long-term win.
And it will change. Like I said,
Yes.
the world changes. Maybe you had a great job and maybe that job is no longer available. Career is going to drop. But
Yes.
there's always something you can do about it. Or maybe you change. Maybe your interests change. Maybe you need other outlets for creativity. But then you kind of still have this gauge saying, okay, well, it's not where I want it to be right now, so you can do something about it.
And the wheel of life is such an important and valuable tool for that, because that's actually the moment to do a little bit less looking out the window and a whole lot of looking inside and just spending some time with yourself going, something doesn't feel right.
Mm.
Something feels a bit misaligned. And it's a good way to get quite a visual picture of, oh, this might be what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And it makes it more granular, because if you just say, how am I feeling, or
Yes.
what's right or wrong, it's not good enough. Like you might know that something's off, but you might not know what is off. So giving
Yeah.
yourself a tool or a framework to help is a good start.
Yeah. It's how am I feeling is almost too broad to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So you speak about outgrowing what you wanted to be a number of times. And I think that a lot of people can probably relate to that feeling. Um, I think a lot of people, some people take action on it, many people possibly don't take action on it. But what is that feeling when you know the time for evolution is coming?
It's a great question. Sometimes it's gradual and kind of just emerges. Like over time, the first reinvention, I didn't have a goal. So it felt less and less real. But that took me 3 or 4 years to figure out I needed to make a change. And also, I was less experienced in doing it. So maybe it took me longer to notice the signs.
Yep.
Other times, something external has happened. I got fired. And suddenly I realized, okay, I have to make a change. But then in deeper analysis on why did I get fired? Like I got fired because I wasn't living true to myself. I wasn't using my biggest natural abilities. I was pretending to be someone I wasn't, living a life that wasn't 100% me. And my boss noticed that. He's like, Ken, you'd be happier if you did something else. Like, this is not what you should be doing. He didn't use those words, right? He probably didn't know that he noticed it.
Mm.
And I didn't know it at the time, but then going deep through kind of self exploration, I was like, yeah, that wasn't me anymore. I was living somebody else's life, somebody else's dream. And then you get a little closer to who am I really? You take off that one identity and you try to figure out what's underneath. And then figure out, okay, what can I do with this?
And there's such an important nugget in that it's okay to have multiple identities. For a lot of people, the thinking is, I am who I am. I am what I studied. I am my career. But we get to be so multifaceted, so multi-hyphenated, and leaning into that is quite a beautiful thing. And if it's calling to you, resisting it is a very difficult thing.
Interesting perspective. And I might not fully agree.
Cool.
So let's play with this one a little.
Yeah.
I believe that we're all born with a set of natural abilities. Something that comes so natural to us that we cannot resist not being it, not doing it. And our best, purest moment of living this is when we're kids, before society gets in the way, before expectations get in the way, right? So if we're able to go back and think about what did we love doing as a kid? What were we great at? What really gave us pleasure, joy? When did we grow the fastest? There's something there, I believe, that doesn't change. But then life happens, and then you start building on all these new identities. When I was a kid, it was cool to be a businessman, right? Management consulting was the dream job. At some point, that switched, and then it became cool to be entrepreneurs. And Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk were heroes, strangely. And then people start wanting to do that, right? And I put on all of these identities outside of other identities. And I built skills which were applauded by my friends and made me money. And I'm happy I've had all those experiences, right? It's what's made me me. But they were also never truly me. And because of that, I had to take off all of those identities. And that was my latest journey, my latest reinvention. I spent almost a year in a camper van with my journal and my guitar, just taking off one identity after another, trying to figure out, well, who am I truly if we drop all of everybody else's expectations? And I learned through that I'm a guide, I'm a teacher, more than anything else. And these are words I wouldn't admit to a year ago. I wouldn't even know, right? I thought I was an entrepreneur. And we started talking about my coaching business in the beginning. It's clearly I'm not an entrepreneur, right? That is not what turns me on in this process, building a business, finding customers. I'm a guide, I'm a teacher. And when I realized that, it was like a pin drops. When I realized that, it's like freedom. And then the question is, okay, how can I apply that to the world? How can I become teacher? How can I use teacher in everything I do? And when I do, I'm on fire. That's when I feel alive. And this is so much more authentic than any of my previous reinventions.
And I'm glad that you just said that, because that was kind of what I was thinking is when you were You stepped into the role of the consultant, the trainee consultant. Um, that was your identity at the time. Then you went to go and be a startup founder in New York, the city that never sleeps. That was your identity at the time. And my question was, did those all feel right? Was there that pin drop moment of, this is where I need to be now?
So hard to remember thinking back. I know it was
Fair.
exciting, right? I definitely know it drew me. And I would probably go on podcasts, tell the stories that I made it, just like I'm doing now, right? So there's definitely parts of those stories that were true and exciting and maybe even necessary on my journey, right? Each one of those built skills and experiences that I can lean on now. Like no successful businessman would allow me to coach them if I also hadn't lived through that and been a successful businessman. No startup founder would have this conversation with me if I couldn't share my startup failures, right? So each one of those felt great. Reflecting back upon them, none of them left me feeling fulfilled.
Okay.
And I wonder, next reinventions, what I'm going to be saying about this moment.
But I think that's okay, because perhaps that was exactly where Ken needed to be in that moment. Because I also imagine that each reinvention, each lifetime that you live, gives you a unique toolbox and skill set that is beneficial in the next one.
For sure. For sure. And I think also we're growing up and evolving
Yeah.
as human beings. And I'm a nerd when it comes to stage models. I can talk about stage models forever, and I'm not going to bore you with it today. But as we grow, we kind of unlock the next level.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to handle a different set of complexities. And acting in that level, like seeing the world through that lens, things might be right. But then when you beat the final boss and you upgrade to the next level, then you see, okay, this worldview wasn't complete. There is more nuances, more complexities that I wasn't even aware of at that point. And now I'm starting to integrate, okay, what are those and how can I act from that level of perspective or consciousness?
And what a beautiful way to experience life, constantly leveling up your levels of awareness, your levels of consciousness, your view on the world. It's so multifaceted. You're looking at the world through almost a bit of a kaleidoscope, it feels.
Oh, I like that analogy. Yeah. And then you can like twist it a little and then things become clear again, right?
Yeah. And then you twist it a little bit more and an entirely new picture arrives. I'm so fascinated by how I think you've also managed to put into words and put into reality what a lot of people go through life feeling, but maybe aren't able to articulate that idea of outgrowing where we're at, but also the fact that you've chosen to lean into it and be so open and honest about it. And essentially, I think it creates a permission structure for everybody in your orbit and in your audience to kind of go, hey, maybe that's this itch that I'm feeling in.
I love your questions. Like, this is the second time that your question talks directly to my core values. So I started saying a core value is adventure, right? And I want to fill
Mhm.
my life with adventure. Another one is inspiration. Like, I want to be inspired by great people around me, by books I read, by
Mhm.
thoughts and ideas. But more than anything, I want to inspire others. So whenever I hear somebody say, Ken, you made me realize something, or I changed this because of that story you told, or because of the coaching we did, that is one of my biggest joys and pleasures.
It's your positioning is so, firstly, it's so authentic to you, but it's so unique as well, and it's so refreshing. I know when I came across your profile on LinkedIn and I saw I've decided to live 10 lifetimes in one, I was like, whoa, I want to have a conversation with this guy.
It is a marketing trick, right? But it is also true. Like, I have
Yeah.
reinvented my life 5 times. That's
Yes.
pretty clear. Not all of them were super intentional. They keep getting more and more intentional. And that has given me so much. And if I can inspire anybody else to dare to step out of their worldview and realize that there's so much more that's possible, and maybe even like take that step, what a great gift.
And what an incredible legacy as well. And you've also said something there that I think is important. You said not all of them were intentional.
Yeah.
Sometimes life throws a curveball and we have to deal with it. So, for example, you get fired from a job, and the option here, you don't necessarily have to go and fully reinvent yourself, but you also can't fight the uncontrollable. One of my general rules in life is we don't fight the uncontrollables. So I used to play highly competitive ultimate frisbee. And if you're about to step onto the field and it's windy, you can't fight the wind. Don't fight the uncontrollable. Figure out a way to play with it. And if you get fired from a job, that's an uncontrollable. How you respond to that and what you choose to fight for in the next, that's entirely controllable. If you choose to use that as an opportunity for self-reinvention, amazing. But don't fight the uncontrollables.
It's an interesting example because I got fired, and yes, I went through my dip. I was sad, and like, am I not this great product manager that I thought I was? But I think maybe I was able to go through that cycle a little faster than most. But here's also what happens. Like, I could have gone and applied for the exact same job at a different company.
Yep.
And relived that experience. But I've come to realize I'd much rather have 10 different experiences than one experience lived 10 times. So when I did get fired after my little dip, right, I decided, let's turn it into an opportunity. Okay, I'm at a crossroads now, and I can choose to either look at how can this be a great thing, or I can just go back and do more of what I've always done. And realizing it's an opportunity gives me so much more energy than just starting to send out CVs to companies that do the same thing.
And that's the thing, seeing the opportunity that exists in what could otherwise be perceived as a not great situation.
So we talked about 50 lunches when we chatted before this conversation.
Yes.
This is 50 lunches is one of my favorite concepts that I've come up with. And I've done this 4 times now. And 50 lunches is what I do whenever I don't know what I want to do the next time I grow up. I've been fired from a job, or I moved to another city, or I don't know what my purpose is. Right? It takes me a while, and then I realize, oh, I have this tool in my toolbox. And then I do it, and then every single time has led to insight and a dream job. So 50 lunches, what I do is I make a list of 50 people, again, an arbitrary high number, that I want to speak with. If I said 5 people, I would know immediately who those 5 people are. But when it's 50, I have to get creative. Who are 50 people you want to speak with? Okay, friends, easy. Colleagues, ex-colleagues, people I meet on LinkedIn, the author of my favorite book, this crazy person on the street. All right, I make that list and I reach out to them and say, hey, you are an inspiring person. I want to hear your story. Everybody wants to tell their story. Right, so they say yes, we sit down. The first time we did this, we actually had lunch. None of the repeated concepts had lunch included, but I kept the name. It's catchy. So we sit down, have lunch, and I interview that person for 30 minutes. Tell me about your life. Tell me about your life decisions. What are you doing now? Why? How did you get there? Why is this exciting? What's going to happen in the future? What turns you on, right? And people share, and it's so inspiring just to listen to these stories. Love it. And I take notes. And then I compare notes later between the conversations. But then here's the trick. Halfway into that conversation, I flip the table. And I'm like, great. Hold on. Can I borrow your perspective for a sec? And I explain, who am I? I use a tool called Ikigai. just to kind of visualize myself. Like, so what do I love? What am I great at? What does the world need? The final circle is what I can get paid for, but I don't share that. I just share the other ones as a way to explain who is Ken. Takes 3 minutes. And then, like, okay, you might not know me, but these are the things that make me me. With your perspective, with your life experiences, what you know, what's your advice from me? What should I focus on? What should I learn? Who else should I be talking to? And how can I turn all of this into a living? And now I have 50 people brainstorming for me, using perspectives that I have never seen, right? Opening doors that I didn't know existed. And so quickly you start seeing patterns. Like, this attracts me. This thing that he's talking about, wow, that's energizing. I want to know more. I'm curious. Or this thing, nah, not so much. That's not me. Thanks for giving that advice, but right? And I can start following my feelings and figuring out what attracts me and learn about that. And usually within 5 of these conversations, I already know.
I might have to borrow that and
You can
start
steal
doing
it.
start doing some 50 lunches of my own. And how do people generally respond when you essentially flip the script on them and say, right, now I need to borrow your perspective. This is me. Let's go. How do people generally respond to that?
So I've learned a trick that helps a
Mhm.
lot. The first thing I say when I start the conversation is, I will not be asking you for a job. Because if you ask for a job or give the indication that you might be asking for a job or expecting that, people close up. They don't want
Yes.
to disappoint you, and therefore they also don't want to be open and helpful. Right? But if you start with that, take that fully off the table, it's never been a problem. People love to help, and they think it's a fun exercise. So in the meeting, in real time, you're getting a lot of great ideas. But the coolest thing is what happens after. Because I've had this conversation, they're impressed because somebody had a conversation with them and listened, took notes. They're impressed that I had a framework where I could easily explain who I am. They feel like they get me. They remember the brainstorming we did together, and I give them the ikigai on a physical piece of paper. Or if it's online, I send it to them by email afterwards. And what usually happens, not everybody I speak with, but often they get back to me within 2 weeks. And they're like, Ken, something opened up in my business. And I think someone like you would be perfect for it. Or they're like, Ken, you got to talk to this guy over here. Right? I've already introduced you. Go have a conversation. And every single time, I've done this 4 times now, it has led to my dream job. Every single time.
That's
It landed me a job at Google.
It landed you a job at Google.
Yeah, like, because I had this conversation with an ex-colleague. Like, we'd worked together at Accenture years ago, many reinventions ago. So we sat down and I showed him my ikigai. He's like, Ken, wow, this is great. Can you help me with mine? So I send him over. And then he calls me the morning after. I'm like, I got a guy on my team who's going on parental leave for 3 months. And I know you have the abilities to do his job. So we're not going to do a recruiting process or anything. Like, do you want to just come and do his job? You're going to get paid shit. It's a consultancy. It's not a job, but it's a foot in the door. So I'm like, yes, absolutely. I'll be there in the morning. Did that. People at Google got to know me. A real job opened up. I applied for it and won it.
Amazing. As you said, these 50 lunches often end up opening doors that you didn't even know existed.
Yeah. Because
And
I know what I know. And I know
yes,
partially what my closest circle of friends know. We think the same, right? We have similar perspectives on things. But I don't know who they know.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they think and what they see. So going out and networking one level past your natural, normal group, there's just so much stuff out there that we're not aware of.
I love this idea of networking one level past your comfort zone, essentially. So you have to kind of leave the comfort zone into that next level. if somebody is listening going, "Oh, I love that idea, but it feels like a bold move." What's the little nudge or the little push towards it that you could give to say, just shoot your shot?
Be bold. It's your choice, right? You can choose to not do it, and then nothing will change. You will be comfortable. You will continue being exactly where you are. And if you're happy with that, do that, right? If you believe that there might be something out there that's more exciting, that can enrich your life, like it's almost impossible not to do it. Right now, you have
Yeah.
the belief, the awareness. Now you have the tool. Like it's on you to act. I can't make you act, but hopefully I can inspire you to.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
So the last time I did 50 lunches, I recorded it. The first 3 I did not. It was for me. But the 4th time I did create a whole podcast series about it. It's 50lunches.com with the F, not the number 50. So go check it out, right? Maybe one of those episodes inspire you.
That's going to be a brilliant place for people to start to, because it's a great place. It's a great way to see it in action. And while we're talking about the really cool things that you're up to, let's talk about the art of reinvention.
Ooh, I was hoping you would ask. I am very, very excited about the Art of Reinvention. It's a working title, it might change, but like I told you, I started a coaching business. And one of my biggest challenges in doing that was I really truly believe I can have a positive impact on people's lives. And I see that happening in the coaching sessions, but they're not free. Like it's a comprehensive one-on-one program. And I want to give this away for free. And that's why I struggle. Like, should I become a coach? Like, I want to give it away for free. Can I charge for this? And I realize, yes, there's a market and they're willing to pay. Great. That can pay my bills. But I still want to give this away for free. So I've always had this idea. I want to write a book, but I didn't know about what. And now that this has landed, I realized I want to write a book about reinventions. I want to share my own stories. I want to share how to reinvent yourself. So exercises, the things that we do in my coaching. But I also want to share the stories of the people I meet, because I meet so many people that have great reinvention stories. Even my clients, right, have stories. So I've started a new podcast as well. So I'm going to write a book. I'm going to California this summer to visit family, and I'm going to carve out some time to write the Art of Reinvention. And I've started a podcast with the exact same name, and we're recording now to capture those stories. So I'm talking to people who have lived interesting lives and capturing different ways and paths and outcomes of reinventions. And all of that's going to be in the book.
Incredible. I look forward to reading it. And I think it's so natural and so authentic to you that it's almost a perfect story for you to be telling, a perfect gift for you to be giving to the world, sharing the art of reinvention.
And you know what? It's one of those things like follow your excitement. Because previously I knew I wanted to write a book, but I didn't know what I want to write a book. But now that I'm formulating this idea and working towards it, I said I was going to start writing when I go to California. And it's only a couple of weeks from now. But like, I want to start today. I'm so excited about putting pen to paper that, like I'm really looking forward to this summer.
So what's stopping you from starting sooner?
I think I am. Like I've started structuring my thoughts. I'm writing down stories. I have a framework for the book, the sections. But it's a big step, I think, to write that first sentence.
And that's the biggest barrier you have to break, is write the first sentence. Even if you go back later and rewrite it or write over it or change it entirely, once you've written the first sentence, you've started.
Because you wrote a book.
Yes. I wrote a book called We Are Still Human and Work Shouldn't Suck. And it's all about quite literally making work not suck for people and employee experience and leadership.
Why did you write a book?
It was very related to the work that I was doing in the company that I was running at the time called Still Human. We had built a method for designing and measuring employee experience in organizations, and we wanted the we wanted to be able to reach more people
It's a
because,
very
as you
similar
say,
motivation. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why I fully resonate with what you're saying is you want to reach more people. It would be a beautiful thing if we could give our magic away for free and still pay the bills. Unfortunately, the world doesn't work that way. And so we find ways, and I think a book is it's also a beautiful thing to put out into the world.
Yeah, I think so. I've never really cared that much about legacy previously. And I'm not even sure if I do now, but I feel like I have this thing to share that can be beneficial for others. And that feels meaningful to me.
I think that's very meaningful, very impactful because it's maybe not about legacy and more about impact. You know, you've said
But you're not going to believe this. You just hit my third value. Adventure,
say more.
inspiration, and impact are my three core values.
Nailed it.
I cannot believe that. Wow.
Adventure, inspiration, and impact. Those are, how did you come to understanding that these are my core values? Because I know personally I've been through multiple iterations of trying on identities, but also trying on values. And so, how do you land at adventure, impact, and inspiration?
Slowly,
Hmm.
slowly, step by step, by peeling the onion. There's a lot of values work you can do, and I do this with my clients. The simplest one is a framework by Brené Brown, where there's a list, 120 values, and you just start circling all of the ones that resonate with you. That might be 20 or 30, and then you have to start boiling it down. So depending on how much time you have, go from 30 to 10. Right, and sit with that for a while. Now I have a list of 10 words that all feel true and authentic. Then the other ones aren't bad, but these are more authentic. And then scratch those out and get down to 5. Don't go to 3 yet. And I do believe 3 is the magic number, but go to 5. And then spend a lot of time here. So with those 5, write a page or many pages about this value. What does it mean to you? How does it appear in your life? How do you feel when you're not aligned with this? Right? Write that for each of the 5 ones, hanging them on the wall, on your doors, somewhere you see them every day. And go read them every day and try to figure out which one feels the more real. Maybe stack rank them several days in a row. The results are going to change depending on your mood, right? And then pick 3. That's a good start, but it's just a start, right? Life is going to change. They say values don't really change that much, except if you experience trauma. But I'm not sure if I believe that. I do believe that it can be a little more fluid than that. I've definitely had my values change, but when they change, it's not like they dramatically shift. It's more like I find a more authentic version of it.
Yeah.
So I used to say my core value was growth. And I'm not against growth, right? A lot of people will have that as one of their top 3. But inspiration for me is truer. It's a version of growth, but it's smaller, it's more niche, more narrow.
I completely agree that values can shift and morph as we do. And especially if we're reinventing ourselves, I think if we're peeling away the layers, getting towards the truest, most authentic version of who we are, it feels natural that our values would come along for that metamorphosis and that shift.
I think it does. And it's a part of the vocabulary. Vocabulary. That's not how you say vo- vocab. It's part of the vocab.
Vocab.
There we go. Um, that builds our identity. So
Yeah.
in my reinvention process, there's now a framework, right? The last step is to emerge or embrace your new identity. So now you figured out who you are, how to apply that to the world. You need to write a story around it, and you need to start telling that story. Because it's first when you commit to that, communicate to that, act accordingly, that you have actually changed. If not, you're just still clinging on to your previous identity.
What an incredible way to frame it. Yeah, you have to lean in to this new identity, embrace it, and just go full tilt at it. You've done the work to get there. Now keep going.
Mm. I mean, I even like to record a little personal narrative video to do this. Like I don't even put it on paper anymore. I put it on video. And I share who I am and why that's important and what my core values are and how I want to show up in the world and what I want to contribute towards. Because that becomes so authentic. And when you've said it out loud and maybe shared it, then it's hard not to be that person anymore.
It creates a little bit of accountability as well, because now it's outside of you. If it just lives inside of you and nobody knows, then it's easy to avoid it.
If a tree falls in the forest, but no one's there to hear it, right?
100%. Yeah. And it's taking action. In Atomic Habits, James Clear has this really cool distinction between motion and action. Motion is talking to a personal trainer. Action is doing 10 squats. Motion is researching topics for your book. Action is writing 10 sentences. And,
Oh.
in this sense, motion can be doing a lot of the thinking work and landing at a good place, but action needs to be starting to talk about it, starting to act it out, starting to live it. And I love that analogy of the shift from motion to action, because we can often get stuck in motion thinking that we're doing stuff because it feels like we're moving forward, but we're actually just wheel spinning. Action is the thing that actually moves us.
I like that a lot. I've spent a lot of time in startup communities. Stockholm has a great one, and I'm spending some time in Malaga. And there's this term called wantrepreneur. It was different from entrepreneur. And the wantrepreneur is that person that goes to all of the events and has a great idea, which hasn't really changed in 3 years. It hasn't been built and hasn't been launched. Right? They really want to be an entrepreneur. But the entrepreneurs don't come to the events because they're too busy in a garage somewhere building the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that idea of a wantrepreneur, and I've definitely met many in my times, and at times I've actually been the one.
Exactly.
Same. Yeah.
Not necessarily a bad thing, right?
It's not, and motion is important because it's a precursor for action, and sometimes we need to just spend time in motion before we're ready to take action. But I also do think it's good to acknowledge and be self-aware enough to say, okay, I'm playing where it's comfortable. Now I need to take that step forward, be bold, be brave, and just take action.
And I wanna kind of underline a point that it's not for everyone.
Yes.
For someone, it's perfectly fine to be comfortable. That might even be a core value, right? Safety, security, stability, right? These sound foreign to me. Like, that's not me. But I cannot project my values on other people, right? People need to figure out who they are and what they want from life. And that might not mean reinventing yourself 10 times. That could be stressful as hell. It might not mean ripping up your life and moving to 8 different countries. That can feel ruthless and lonely. So it's really, really important to start with yourself. Like, figure out who you are, what you want, what you need, and build from that.
Yeah. Nobody else's map is for your life.
Mm-mm.
No, 100%. And that's where, and as you've said so many times, this is where authenticity comes in. It's your wheel of life. It's your ikigai. It's your conversations, this is your choice of reinvention. This is your art of reinvention. It's not for everyone. And that's okay, because that's also part of what makes the world so fascinating, and what makes us as humans so fascinating is how uniquely, I always joke that we're all such unique little snowflakes because we are.
Yes. Mm.
Ken, if somebody listening to this is feeling that itch or starting to feel that itch, like maybe I've outgrown where I am, what is the one thing that you would say to them as a first course of action if you're starting to get that, oh, something doesn't quite gel anymore? What
Mm.
would you say is the first step in it's a journey? What's that first step?
Hmm. Well, the first step is to acknowledge it, right? Just to admit it. I am not living the life I want to live. And that can be hard because we might not know where this feeling is coming from. Like something is off. I feel stuck. Is this it? Right? And particularly if we've been successful, if we're top of a career, like that feels like it's ungrateful to even ask those questions. Other people have not been successful and have not achieved all the things that I have achieved. Like, why am I complaining? But be honest with yourself and acknowledge that, okay, things aren't 100%. Admit that. I got admitting it is the first step. And then the next step is just going to have to do some work. It's going to be a lot of, in the beginning, internal rediscovery. And that might take a long time. You can do it by yourself, like I did. Like I traveled with my journal and my camper. And I enjoyed that. Like for me, that was a long adventure. Not everybody has that time. Like ask for help. Go to your friends. Find a coach, a therapist. If you've acknowledged that things aren't how you want them to be, then find a way to figure out how you want them to be. Then get inspired. Now go external. Talk to more people. Talk to friends, like the 50 lunches, right? And see what is out there. Don't do all the only internal work. You also need to external work because that's where all the new ideas are going to come up. You're not going to be able to guess.
Yeah.
And then build hypotheses. And when you have the hypotheses, test them. You're not going to be able to think yourself to an answer. Build small experiments. Do something for 30 days. See how that feels. I started a coaching business, right? I gave myself 30 days to find the first paying customer. Posted it on my website. Like there's a video about that. And I did. And I started coaching and it felt great. I couldn't have guessed how coaching would feel. But having done that experiment, now I have enough data to like, okay, I'm going to commit to this and start making that change.
I've always lived by the motto that life is too short to resent the reason that I have to get out of bed every morning. And as soon as it starts to feel like, oh, I don't want to get up, I know there's a need for change. I also think it's so important. You said people, we can often question, but I'm getting paid so much money. I have such a good title. I have such a good position. There's so many other people who don't have what I have. That will always be true. But you are the only one of all the billions and billions of people on this planet. The only human being who has to wake up every day and live Ken's life is Ken.
Mm.
And therefore, it is almost your obligation to have as much fun while you're here as possible.
Why not?
Yeah.
And that's going to inspire other people to do the same, right? So if you have more fun and you're living a more fulfilled life, maybe somebody else will do the same. And wow.
It's a beautiful contagion.
Mm.
And I think also in what you said, just go and find the doors of possibility that you didn't even know existed.
Mm.
And the only way that you can do that is by going and exploring and pushing past that first layer of your comfort zone.
Get outside of your bubble.
Yes. Get outside.
Mm.
Ken, I think that's a beautiful place to leave this conversation. Get outside of your bubble. Go find those doors of possibility. Thank you so much for sharing more of your story. And also thank you for so authentically owning your choice, your art of reinvention. I've truly, truly enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you. I mean, this has been a beautiful 45 minutes. I cannot believe the quality of your questions and how you were able to nail my 3 core values. Like I've never experienced that before. That was fun. And thank you for allowing me to share. I'm so excited about this upcoming book and this project. And thanks for all your advice, because we spoke about how to write a book, and I really appreciate this friendship that we're built over just 2 conversations.
Likewise, and I really look forward to seeing the Art of Reinvention come together.
In a bookstore near you after summer. Maybe.
Definitely. Not maybe. Definitely.
Definitely, but I'm not going to push myself on that deadline. I hope to write it over summer, but I will also allow it to take the time it needs to take.
So it's going to be after summer, just not necessarily after this summer. So we're not gonna hold you to a fast deadline, but we
After
are
a
gonna,
summer.
or I am gonna hold you accountable to getting it done.
They will. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you, Ken.